For months, fans thought J. Cole had gone silent out of peace, out of maturity, out of that same quiet confidence that always made him seem different from Drake. But behind the scenes, something was shifting, something that even Cole's closest supporters didn't see coming. While the world was busy debating Kendrick Lamar's dominance after Not Like Us and Drake's never-ending PR stunts to win back credibility, Cole was in the middle of a private crisis, one that would expose where he truly stood in hip-hop's biggest Cold War. This wasn't just about lyrics or loyalty anymore. It was about how Cole handled his image, his business, and his integrity when things turned ugly. Because now, J. Cole is being sued by Cameron, and the details of that lawsuit have opened a side of Cole that no one expected to see. A side that looks a lot more like Drake's, desperate, defensive, and corporate, and a lot less like the Cole who once told the world he'd rather keep his soul than sell his name. And the way this all connects to Kendrick Lamar, that's the real twist in this story. Before we go further, support me by liking this video and subscribing to this channel. It helps a lot. When news broke that Cameron was taking legal action against Cole, most people thought it was clickbait. These two had collaborated on the off-season, and Cam's voice had literally opened one of Cole's most iconic intros in years. So how did things fall apart so badly that lawyers are now involved? According to court filings and industry whispers, the issue centers around credit. Specifically, how Cameron's contribution to Cole's project was handled, marketed, and financially compensated. Cam allegedly claims he was promised certain royalties and promotional involvement that never fully materialized. But what's really striking isn't the legal paperwork. It's the energy Cole gave off once the situation went public. The same J. Cole who built a reputation on humility, respect, and realness suddenly started acting like a man cornered. People close to the situation say Cole's team started moving like OVO, controlling narratives, dodging questions, and quietly trying to silence smaller blogs that picked up the story. The kind of defensive, clean the image at all costs energy that feels straight out of Drake's playbook. And that's when fans began to notice something deeper. Cole wasn't standing beside Cameron like a brother. He wasn't clearing the air. He wasn't even speaking from the heart. He was going silent, hoping the public would move on before it got messy. But in this era, silence speaks volumes. What's haunting about this situation isn't the lawsuit itself. It's how perfectly it mirrors Drake's downfall. Because if you remember, the same pattern started with Drake's ghostwriting controversies and unpaid collaborators. The same pattern of distancing, denial, and corporate spin. Cole built his whole brand as the anti-Drake. The rapper who didn't need flashy features, who didn't chase trends, who stood by his word. But now, the cracks are showing. Insiders say Cole's label team at Dreamville has been under major pressure after the fall off delays and lukewarm commercial traction from his recent singles. Apparently, executives wanted a more marketable image to protect brand partnerships. And that's when Cole began playing it safe, avoiding conflict, toning down his honesty, and aligning himself with the very industry systems he once rebelled against. You can feel it. This is a man torn between staying real and staying relevant. And that inner conflict is exactly why Kendrick's rise has been so humbling for him. Because while Kendrick was out there dancing on stage to Not Like Us, letting the world know he didn't need anyone's approval, Cole was busy making sure his lawyers, managers, and image consultant had the same talking points ready. It's painful to say, but the once most relatable rapper alive is now moving like someone afraid of losing control. When the lawsuit details started circulating, Dreamville fans flooded Twitter, Reddit, and hip-hop forums trying to make sense of it all. Some defended Cole, saying the industry always tries to tear down real artists. But others saw this as the clearest sign, yet that fame had finally gotten to him. The online mood began shifting. Posts that once praised Cole for being the voice of the people started questioning if he had quietly become the same kind of industry puppet he used to critique. One comment that went viral summed it up perfectly. Cole used to rap about not letting money change him. Now he's getting sued for the same shady deals he once called out. And while that comment might sound harsh, it captures what so many longtime fans are feeling: disappointment. Not hatred, just heartbreak that their favorite artist might not be who they thought he was. Cole had built his legacy on being transparent. He let fans in on his doubts, his depression, his desire to stay grounded. So to see him move in silence during a moral test like this one hit different. And meanwhile, guess who was watching all this unfold from a distance? Kendrick Lamar, the one rapper who's never needed to defend his integrity because it speaks for itself. If you line up all three artists right now, Drake, Cole, and Kendrick, it's like watching three alternate versions of what fame can do to a man. Drake chose power, even if it meant manipulation. Kendrick chose purpose, even if it meant isolation. Cole, for years, tried to find peace somewhere in between. But this lawsuit, this silence, and this strange shift in his energy show that he might have finally picked a side. And the truth is, he didn't choose Kendrick's path. He chose Drake's. Because when real pressure hit, not a diss track, but real-life accountability, Cole didn't double down on authenticity. He doubled down on damage control. There's a reason why Kendrick doesn't get dragged into this kind of mess. He doesn't let corporations handle his legacy. He doesn't let lawyers dictate his narrative. He moves with full control and full transparency. Cole, on the other hand, seems to be learning the hard way that silence and sincerity don't always mean the same thing. And that's where things get really interesting, because behind the scenes, there's talk that Kendrick actually reached out to Cole months before all this went public, trying to mend the quiet tension between them that's existed since the False Idols era. But now, after this, that bridge might be gone for good. As the lawsuit gained traction, Cole's team did what every PR-trained artist does. They went quiet, hoping the news cycle would move on. But the problem is, this isn't 2016 anymore. Fans don't just consume headlines. They investigate them. They look at body language, social media patterns, even who follows and unfollows who. And that's when something really telling happened. Cameron's longtime collaborators started throwing subtle shade online, hinting that the man who once bragged about no role models might be the same one playing industry games behind closed doors. Then, suddenly, old clips of Cole talking about loyalty and fairness started resurfacing. The same interviews where he swore he'd never exploit another artist for profit. Fans began stitching those clips with recent footage of him avoiding questions, and the contrast was brutal. The court of public opinion didn't need an official ruling. To them, the verdict was already out. J. Cole was starting to look like the very people he once warned us about. Now, here's where it gets really ironic. Just as this lawsuit was heating up, Drake's name began floating around again. Not because he was directly involved, but because fans started drawing comparisons. Think about it. Both artists once stood for vulnerability, for showing emotion without ego. But both also reached a point where they started protecting their image more than their message. Drake has spent years trying to mask insecurities through fame, clout, and control. And now, fans see Cole doing the same, just quieter, more calculated, more disappointing. Industry insiders even claim Drake has been quietly enjoying this downfall from a distance. He knows what it feels like to be dragged publicly. And this time, for once, the spotlight isn't on him. It's on someone who used to act like he was better. Behind closed doors, sources say Drake has been telling people this lawsuit proves that nobody's really pure. That in this business, everyone bends eventually. It's the kind of smug perspective that perfectly sums up Drake's current mindset. Bitter, jaded, and waiting for others to fall from grace just like he did. But here's the catch. Drake's downfall came from ego, while Cole's is coming from avoidance. And in the court of culture, both are fatal. While all this drama unfolded, Kendrick Lamar didn't say a word. Not one comment. Not one subliminal. Nothing. And that silence was louder than any diss track. Because in today's hip-hop landscape, silence from someone like Kendrick means control. It means confidence. It means he doesn't even need to acknowledge the chaos to prove his point. Kendrick's been in his own lane ever since Not Like Us shattered Drake's reputation and redefined the power dynamics in rap. He spent the past year building a movement, Grand National, PG Lang, and the kind of cultural dominance that doesn't rely on drama or chart manipulation. So while Cole's team was doing legal damage control, Kendrick's team was expanding their empire. Touring, collaborating, mentoring new artists, moving with purpose, not panic. That's the difference. That's why fans are slowly realizing that when it comes to authenticity, there's no middle ground anymore. You're either moving like Kendrick, intentional, untouchable, or like Drake, spinning the narrative to stay relevant. And for years, Cole tried to exist in between those two worlds. But this lawsuit might have just exposed that no one can stay in the middle forever. Behind the scenes, executives are paying close attention. Because this isn't just a moral story, it's a power story. Cole has always been respected by peers and praised for being low drama. But in business terms, that's a double-edged sword. It makes you lovable, but not always powerful. Kendrick, on the other hand, commands fear and respect. Drake commands influence and attention. Cole, he's the bridge between them, but now that bridge looks unstable. The lawsuit with Cameron may not destroy him legally, but it's shaken how people trust him. Artists who once saw him as a safe collaborator might now think twice. That quiet reputation for integrity, that's his brand. And once it's cracked, it's nearly impossible to restore. And the worst part? Cole knows it. Insiders claim that ever since the lawsuit news broke, Cole's been more withdrawn, rarely seen in public, skipping appearances, and focusing obsessively on his next album rollout. He wants to prove through music that he's still that same thoughtful, grounded artist. But in today's climate, that might not be enough. Because once authenticity is questioned, every bar, every verse, every silence gets dissected for meaning. So what happens now? In the middle of this chaos, there's been quiet movement from people close to both Cole and Kendrick. Word is, Kendrick's camp has extended an olive branch again, not out of pity, but out of understanding. Kendrick's always known the industry's a trap designed to turn real artists into brands. The rumor is that Cole might have finally realized who's really been on his side all along, and it wasn't Drake. Because while Drake was throwing subliminals and bragging about numbers, Kendrick was building something timeless. Cole's not stupid. He sees the energy shift. He knows who the culture is leaning toward. And if this lawsuit and fallout do one thing, it might be forcing him to decide once and for all where his loyalty really lies, to image or to legacy. Because at this point, the truth is unavoidable. J. Cole might have quietly chosen Kendrick's path after all, but only because Drake's path showed him what he didn't want to become. It's almost poetic. The lawsuit that exposed his flaws might be the same one that pushes him back toward the artist he used to be. The one who made Friday Night Lights, who told the truth even when it hurt, who didn't care about image or corporate polish. That's the version of J. Cole fans fell in love with. And maybe, just maybe, this storm is the only thing that can bring him back. Zooming out, this story isn't just about lawsuits and egos. It's about what hip-hop has become, a battlefield between authenticity and optics. Kendrick Lamar has proven that you can still win by being silent, calculated, and real. Drake has proven that numbers don't equal respect. And now, J. Cole is learning that playing neutral doesn't save you from the fallout. It only delays it. Every generation has that one moment where an artist is forced to choose between legacy and longevity. For Cole, this is that moment. Whether he likes it or not, the lawsuit with Cameron is more than legal drama. It's a symbol, a test, a mirror held up to everything he's preached for over a decade. And how he responds next will define not just his reputation, but where he stands in hip-hop history. Because no matter how quiet he stays, the culture never forgets when an artist's mask starts to crack. So here's where it stands. Drake's empire is crumbling under its own weight. Kendrick's movement is growing stronger by the day. And J. Cole? He's standing at the crossroads, watching both sides and realizing that staying silent is no longer enough. He can either come clean, own the situation, and remind the world why he's one of the most loved rappers of his generation, or keep playing the image game and risk becoming another cautionary tale. Fans don't want perfection, they want honesty. That's what Kendrick gives. That's what Drake lost. And that's what Cole still has a chance to reclaim, if he's brave enough to step into the light. Because at the end of the day, it's not about who's winning charts or headlines. It's about who's still real when the cameras stop rolling. And if there's one thing hip-hop's proven over and over again, it's that the truth always finds its way out. This story isn't just about J. Cole. It's about what happens when fame, loyalty, and authenticity collide. So keep watching, keep questioning, and keep your eyes on how Cole moves next. Because one decision, one verse, one statement could change everything for him, Drake, and Kendrick forever. Thanks for watching. And as always, stay active.